Welcome, my friend. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're going to share a journey together, a journey that will give you new English words, fresh listening practice, and maybe even a spark of motivation for your life. Our topic is simple but powerful. Is learning English still worth it? You may have asked yourself this question before, perhaps in moments of frustration or when the road ahead felt too long. But stay with me, because by the end of this story you won't just hear the answer. You'll feel it along the way. Listen closely. Notice the words and phrases as they appear. Let them land softly, like seeds in your mind. With time, those seeds will grow. And here's a promise. If you choose persistence, if you keep showing up with patience and courage, your English and your future will surprise you in ways you cannot yet imagine. So let me ask you a small favor before we begin. In the comments below, share your country and the current time where you are right now. It's a simple act, but together we'll see just how wide and connected our global classroom really is. Pause. Music shifts slightly brighter. Here's what you will gain today. You'll learn useful vocabulary in context. Words like opportunity, struggle, turning point, and resilience. You'll sharpen your listening skills as the story unfolds. And most importantly, you'll receive a life lesson that may just change the way you see your English journey. Now let's begin. Picture a young man standing at a crowded bus station. His name is Arjun. The air smells of dust and fried food. Around him, voices rise and fall like waves, each in a language he doesn't fully understand. He clutches a small notebook in his hand. On the first page, in careful handwriting, are the words, "My dream is bigger than my fear." Arjun is from a small town where English is rarely spoken. Yet he believes this language is a doorway to the world. But belief, as you know, is often tested. At school, his classmates laugh when he mispronounces words. The teacher corrects him impatiently, sometimes harshly. Each mistake feels heavy, like carrying a stone in his pocket. And every day those stones begin to pile up. One afternoon, walking home, he asks himself, is this really worth it? Why suffer like this for words that are not even mine? That question, is it worth it, echoes in his chest. Maybe you've asked it too. But here's the truth. Arjun didn't yet see. Every great journey begins in discomfort. Every bridge between worlds is built with small, shaky steps, and the moments we doubt ourselves the most are often the ones just before growth. Gentle pause. Music softens. Let's pause here on a useful phrase. Turning point. It means the moment when everything begins to change. Arjun's turning point arrived unexpectedly. One evening, while helping his father at the small family shop, a traveler walked in. She was from another country and spoke only English. His father panicked. He didn't understand a word. But Arjun tried. His sentences were broken, his grammar fragile, but he communicated. And for the first time he saw his father's eyes shine with pride. That night as he walked home, he felt something powerful. His English might still be weak, but it had just connected two worlds. And suddenly, all the stones in his pocket didn't feel so heavy anymore. This is where I want you to lean in, my friend. Learning English is not just about grammar or vocabulary. It's about building bridges. It's about opening doors to conversations, to opportunities, to places you've never been before. Arjun didn't know it yet, but that single moment in the shop was the beginning of something far greater. A spark had been lit inside him, a spark that would carry him to places he never imagined. But sparks are fragile. They can fade, or they can grow into flames. if protected. So here's the question. What did Arjun do next? Did he let the spark fade into darkness? Or did he protect it, nurture it, and allow it to guide him forward? Music swells slightly, then softens to a thoughtful hush. The answer is a story we'll continue together. Narrator: calm, reflective tone. Arjun sat under the dim glow of a single bulb in his room that night. The world outside was quiet, but inside his mind, a storm raged. His conversation with the traveler replayed again and again. The words weren't perfect, yet they worked. He had crossed a small bridge, and for the first time he believed another bridge could be built. But then came the whisper of doubt. What if this was just luck? What if I'll never be good enough? Doubt is heavy, but determination, when it's born from a spark of hope, can be heavier still. Arjun made a decision. He would protect that spark. He opened his notebook again. On the next page he wrote, "I will learn one new word every day." Notice the phrase here. One new word every day. It's small, simple, but that's the secret. Progress often hides in small steps, repeated with patience. So the days turned into weeks. Arjun carried his notebook everywhere, on the bus, at the market, even in the fields. Each day he added a new word: opportunity, courage, failure, resilience, and with each word, his world grew wider. The word resilience became his favorite. It means the ability to keep going, even when life pushes you down. He repeated it like a quiet prayer whenever mistakes embarrassed him. But life, as you know, has its tests. At his school's annual event, Arjun was chosen to stand on stage and introduce a guest in English. The hall was filled with parents, students, and teachers. As he walked to the microphone, his palms sweated, his voice trembled. The first sentence came out broken. A few people chuckled in the crowd. His heart pounded so loudly he thought he might collapse. He wanted to run, to disappear, to never try again. But then he remembered his notebook. My dream is bigger than my fear. He took a deep breath. He looked straight ahead. And slowly, word by word, he finished his speech. Was it perfect? No. Was it powerful? Absolutely. Because courage is not about speaking without fear. It's about speaking through fear. Soft pause. Music shifts slightly upward, hopeful. And here, let me share another useful phrase with you to break through. It means to push past an obstacle into a new level. That day on that stage, Arjun broke through. Afterwards, something surprising happened. A younger student came to him and said, "I want to be like you. You are brave." Imagine that. The boy who once carried stones of shame in his pocket was now seen as a source of inspiration. This brings us to another truth about learning English or any skill. Every step you take is not just for you, it's for others too. Your persistence can inspire someone you don't even know is watching. Arjun continued his routine. Word by word, phrase by phrase, he built his foundation. He listened to English radio at night, even when he understood very little. He whispered sentences to himself on the way to school. He stumbled, he mispronounced, he forgot, he repeated. And slowly he grew. But growth is never a straight line. Sometimes it's like climbing a mountain in fog. You don't see the peak. You don't know how far you've come. You only know the next small step. One evening, Arjun's father asked him, "Why do you work so hard on this? You already have a good life here." Arjun didn't know how to explain it. But deep inside, he felt it. English was not just a subject. It was a key that could open doors beyond his town, beyond his country, beyond his imagination. So he kept going. Now, Let me bring this back to you, my friend. Maybe you too are on a path that feels uncertain. Maybe your progress feels invisible. But like Arjun, every word you learn, every mistake you make, every sentence you speak, these are not wasted. They are steps on your mountain. And just like him, you will face your own turning points. Some will test you, some will lift you, all of them will shape you. Pause. Music softens into a gentle hush with faint wind sounds. But here's the mystery that still remains in Arjun's story. What happened when the mountain finally revealed its peak? What happened when English carried him far beyond the bus station, the classroom, the small shop? That is where our story turns next. Narrator. Warm, steady tone. Years passed. The boy with the notebook grew into a young man with a dream too large to be contained by the walls of his town. One morning, Arjun stood in an airport, holding a passport in one hand and that same notebook, now worn and filled with words, in the other. His eyes sparkled with both fear and excitement. He was about to board a plane for the very first time. Destination: a university abroad. English had carried him here. The journey was not magical. It was not smooth. It was not easy. It was built through late nights, repeated mistakes, tears of frustration, and moments of courage, so small no one else even noticed them. But together, those moments became a bridge, and across that bridge, Arjun walked into a new world. At the university, the challenge grew bigger. Lectures raced ahead in fast English. Classmates spoke with accents he had never heard before. At first, he felt lost, invisible. His sentences were shorter than theirs, his vocabulary smaller. But here is a phrase worth noticing: to find your voice. It means discovering the courage to speak, to be heard, even when your words aren't perfect. Arjun found his voice in the most unexpected place, a debate club. The first time he joined, he stammered. He forgot words. He turned red with embarrassment. But afterward, one of the club members smiled and said, "You made a great point. Don't stop." Those 3 words, "don't stop," became his compass. Little by little, his confidence grew. He asked questions in class. He stayed late in the library, whispering new phrases aloud until they felt natural. He shared stories from his hometown with friends, who listened with curiosity. His English was not flawless, but it was alive. Here's another useful phrase: to open doors. English opened doors for Arjun: internships, friendships, opportunities to travel. But more than that, it opened doors inside him. It gave him the courage to stand tall, to believe his story mattered. Years later, Arjun stood once again on a stage. But this time, it wasn't in a school hall. It was in a conference center, speaking to hundreds of people from around the world. He told his story in English, and when he finished, the audience rose in applause. Imagine that moment, the same boy who once trembled at a microphone, now inspiring others with his journey. That is the power of persistence. That is the power of resilience. That is the power of saying again and again, "My dream is bigger than my fear." Now let's step back. What does this story mean for you? It means this: learning English is not just about grammar, exams, or jobs. It is about possibility. It is about stepping into rooms where voices from every corner of the world meet, and knowing that your voice belongs there too. Yes, it will be hard. Yes, you will stumble. Yes, you will doubt. But each word you learn is a key. Each phrase you practice is a brick. And one day, without even realizing it, you will stand on your own bridge, looking back at how far you've come. So, is learning English still worth it? Look at Arjun's journey. Look at your own potential. The answer, my friend, is not just yes. The answer is absolutely, because English is not just a language, it is a passport. A passport to opportunity, to connection, to growth. Music rises softly, emotional and uplifting. And now I want you to imagine your own story. Where will your bridge lead you? What door will your English open? Perhaps the next conversation you have, the next chance you take, the next dream you dare to follow, will be your turning point. Hold on to that spark, protect it, nurture it, let it guide you forward. Narrator, gentle, inviting close. If this story touched you, I invite you to stay with us. Subscribe, so we can continue walking together through more stories, more lessons, more sparks of hope. And before you go, share one thing in the comments. What is your dream with English? Where do you hope it will take you? I'll be there, reading, cheering you on. Music fades to silence. A final image, a notebook on a desk, a pen resting on top, waiting for the next word.